Hey guys, Coach Kate here, and this is the first of hopefully many of what I am titling Need to Know with Coach Kate. And this kind of came about when I posted a couple days ago about, things that I wish I would have known when I was first starting my fitness journey. And now that I'm about 7 years into this, there are a lot of things that I just take for granted that I know, which back when I first started, there's no way I would have known that. So we kind of forget as we evolve what it was like to, be a newbie or to be first starting out on a fitness journey or, whatever we're starting that's new, whether it be powerlifting or strength training or a diet, whatever it is, there's always a learning curve in the beginning. And once you get past that phase, it's difficult to go back. So I loved all the feedback that I got from you all, but always the number one question I get when I ask what our biggest issue is when we're talking about body composition change or weight loss is, of course, how do I eat? What do I eat? So I knew that was going to be one of my very first videos for you guys. So today we are going to talk about dieting for fat loss specifically. And I'm going to give you 5 steps to follow. And this is super, super simple. I'm going to try and keep these videos nice and short so that you can watch them, really, really quickly or listen to them in the car on your way to work or while you're working out. My goal is to give you some practical information that you can take and implement in your lives, okay? So it's not going to be super detailed. And the main reason being, and I'm sure you've heard this from many, many resources out there, but nutrition is super, super specific. Okay, individual to individual, it's going to change so much, guys. Our bodies are so dynamic. We're always changing, we're always growing, we're always evolving. And everybody has certain wants and needs and desires and lifestyles, time constraints, scheduling conflicts. All of these things have to be considered when we're talking about a diet or a meal plan, or I like to just call it the way you eat, because hopefully this has become a lifestyle for you. So I'm going to go through 5 quick steps, and I'm going to try and go into detail a little bit more. I'll probably write a blog post about it and give you a little bit more information, but today we're going to keep it short and sweet. So step number 1, you need to know where you're at right now, okay? So I know a lot of people think you have to track calories in order to, diet for fat loss, but that's not so much the case, guys. What we mean is that you have to know where you're at before you can get to where you're going. So think of it like you're driving a car and you need to get to a certain location, all right? If you're asking for directions, your GPS is going to ask you where you're at right now, okay? You have to know where you're at in order to get to where you're going, okay? So that's what we want to establish. You can do this in a number of different ways. You can keep a food journal. So just write down every single thing that you eat. You can do it by taking photos of everything that you eat throughout the day and maybe saving them in a specific album, or however you can organize those in your phone, or just write them down at the end of the day after you've taken pictures of them if you don't have time to write everything down to begin with. You can also use a tracking app of some kind like MyFitnessPal or MyMacros+. But the goal here, guys, is to just establish where you're at currently. And sometimes the great thing is that when you start tracking what you're eating, you're going to see results right away because you're actually in tune with what you're eating. You're being conscious about it. And if you go to put that my Vice's Blizzards from Dairy Queen in your MyFitnessPal and you see it's 800 calories and you're like, holy crap, maybe I might make a better decision. So I found that some clients, when I just have them start tracking, they make better decisions out the gate just because they have to be held accountable and they have to write it down, and that makes it more real to them, okay? Now let's be honest, your body tracks whatever you're eating, no matter if you write it down or not. So the goal here is to be as realistic and as real and honest as possible, because you can't trick your body, okay? So that's step 1, just establishing where you're at, okay? Step 2 is finding what I call the low-hanging fruit. So what are some easy things that I can change that might help me get over the hump? So maybe it's, I'm gonna eat a salad every day for lunch, okay? Maybe it's, I'm gonna make sure I'm drinking at least half a gallon of water every day. Or maybe it's, I'm going to meal plan at least 3 dinners out for the night out of this whole week, okay? The goal here is to start small, to track whatever you're changing, and also to track your progress, which we'll get to in a second, to see how it will affect you, okay? So a lot of times people start out on a fitness journey and they change everything at once. And that is so overwhelming because it's like you're white knuckling from the beginning. And if that's the case, then it's not gonna be sustainable, guys. So make sure you're choosing 1 or 2 things at a time, some small things, some low-hanging fruit, some things you can easily implement to give you some momentum, okay? To give you some success, because you got to see some success in some way, shape, or form in order to keep moving forward, okay? We're humans, we love to see progress. And sometimes that can be frustrating when we're talking about dieting because you don't always see automatically on the scale what you think you should. So a lot of times I like to tell my clients, hey, make sure you are measuring your success by the habits that you're creating, okay? So I said I'm gonna drink a gallon of water every day, and I did it every single day this week. That's success, all right? So we're measuring success by action and not by outcome, okay? We don't have control over the outcomes at this point, right? We do have control over our actions, all right? So make sure you're changing just one little thing at a time, see how it feels, see how you do, get some momentum there. And once you've got that thing down pat, then you can move on to the next thing. So a couple things I would recommend, like I said, eating a salad every day, eat 1 fruit and 1 vegetable every single day, eat protein at every single meal. Meal prepping is a great place to start, even if you have no idea about calories, macros, blah, 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 all that good stuff. You can still meal prep, and that will help you plan out your week, okay? Which is better than flying by the seat of your pants. You'll probably end up going through the drive-thru if all else fails, right? So meal prepping is also a really good place to start. Or telling yourself, I'm going to limit myself to how many times I eat out this week and see if that doesn't help, okay? Those are some really easy ways that you can make just small changes during your week. While we're talking about it, this is also an excellent place to start. This is the Muscle and Strength Nutrition Pyramid by Eric Helms. And a lot of people complicate nutrition to the point where, like I said, it's just so overwhelming because you have no idea where you should be or what you should be doing. So when we're talking about calories and proteins and fats and carbs and sugar and fiber and micronutrients, oh my gosh, guys, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. Most people, we should be right here, guys. We should be in the portion control section of our lives, okay? So just getting better at knowing how much should I be eating. Not necessarily what should I be eating, but how do I control my portions in order to get to where I want to be? Because at the very base, this is the most important down here, goes up to the very least important, which you'll see is supplementation, which is mostly where we first go, right? We're not starting there, guys. We're starting way down here at energy balance, all right? There is nothing can compare to energy balance, okay? That is the very base of your pyramid. Calories in versus calories out. That is always the case. I don't care who you are. I don't care what's going on in your life right now. Calories in, calories out. That is the bare minimum for weight loss, all right? There are different ways to do that. There are more efficient and less efficient ways that you can get more micronutrients or less micronutrients. But if we're talking about just solely weight loss, calories in versus calories out is always the king, okay? So if at nothing else, make sure you are getting your portions correct. That's a really, really great place to start, okay? So we're talking about portions down here. Up here, then, we're talking about proteins, fats, and carbs, your macronutrients. So those are 3 macronutrients, all right? In general, most people don't get what I would call enough protein, depending on who you are. If you're strength training, if you're an endurance athlete, if you are sedentary all day, there's a lot of things that can affect your macronutrients. But in general, most women especially do not get enough protein. I recommend protein at every single meal just because it helps keep you satiated. And it also, makes sure that we are holding on to whatever muscle we do have, which will in the end help our body composition. So macronutrients then would be our next level. Then you can worry about those micronutrients, things like fiber and, vitamins and minerals and all that good stuff. Then you can worry about when to eat, all right? So people eat carbs after dark, that's a big no-no. Guys, it does not matter, okay? What matters is your energy balance at the end of the day, all right? So meal timing is not as important as micronutrients, which is not as important as macronutrients, which is not as important as calories, okay? And at the very last, we've got supplementation up here. That's things in addition to all of that, all right? So most people in the fitness industry they want you to start up here because they're trying to sell you stuff, all right? You'll notice I'm not trying to sell you anything today. I just want to give you some knowledge. So nobody's paying me to do this. This is stuff that I just want you to know, all right? So supplements are at the very end unless ordered by a physician, all right? Remember that, okay? So that's very basic there. All right, so kind of got off track, but remember, step 1 is know where you're at. Step 2 is identify the low-hanging fruit, change one small thing at a time. Step 3 is the most important, and it is be consistent. And it's the hardest one, guys, because we don't see, progress. We get bored, we get unmotivated, and then we want to either change everything up all at once, or we just want to quit altogether. We go binge on the weekends, or we sit down with a whole carton full of Ben & Jerry's. I don't know, whatever your vice is. This is the hardest part, is being consistent. But it is the most important part, guys, because you don't know what to change until you've got sufficient data to let you know how it is affecting your overall goals, all right? So be consistent means follow your plan for a very, 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 very long time. So if we're saying I'm gonna eat 1 salad a day for the next 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna see how I feel, how I look, how the scale has moved, how I'm performing, all of these things should be considered when you're talking about whether a plan is working or not, okay? If we're just looking at one thing in isolation, like the scale weight or your progress pictures or a waist measurement, guys, all these things in isolation don't mean a lot. We need to look at the whole picture, and at the end of the day, if the scale weight's the same, but you feel 5,000 times better, or you've gotten over that 2 p.m. hump, or you've seen some clothes fitting better, or whatever it is, guys, there are so many factors to consider other than the scale weight. So I do recommend finding multiple measures of progress and not just relying on one thing. So that goes along with step 1, which is knowing where you're at. Always take progress pictures, always take measurements. If you can get to something like a DEXA scan, which we have here in Wichita, it's called Atlas MD. They can get you in, $20, do a scan, you know exactly where your body fat is at, okay? It's a really great tool, but again, it's just one tool. You can weigh yourself, take progress pictures, all of those things, but also, making sure that you're aware of how you're feeling, how you're performing, what's your energy like, different things like that, which can be easily tracked. If you're already tracking your food, at the end of the day, just say, had a good day, had a bad day, I felt great up until 3 p.m. and then I crashed, or whatever it is, guys, write it down. Again, whatever gets measured gets managed, and the more data we have, the better off you're gonna be, and the better off you can make changes that can get you closer to where you wanna be, all right? So that was step 3, is to be consistent for a very, very, very long time. Track your progress in multiple ways, and then make a decision. Is this working for me? Is this not working for me? After that, that was step 3 and kind of step 4 together. So step 3 was be consistent. Step 4 is evaluate your progress. And then step 5 is repeat. Rinse, lather, repeat. Or rather, wash, rinse, lather, repeat. However you say that. Do it again, all right? You go back to the top. You decide where you're at. You decide if there's something easy I can change. You do it for a really long time. You evaluate, and then you do it again. It's a whole process, guys. And the point being here is, like I said in the beginning, we're all so different in our needs and wants and time constraints, and how our body handles different foods as well. So make sure that you are not just following a cookie cutter diet, because you are an individual, and you are special, and you are unique. And the point is that you want to make this something that you can do for a really, really, really long time. Especially if you have a lot of weight to lose, we want to make this as sustainable as possible. You want to be eating as much as possible while still losing weight, okay? So don't listen to MyFitnessPal when you go in there and it says only eat 1,200 calories. I don't know who made up that number, but I'm getting tired of it. You need more than that, typically. Most people do. But it all depends on where you're at metabolically, which most of us are not in a great place, from things like binging and restricting, or just years of eating crap and processed foods. Guys, at the end of the day, you know what to eat, all right? Everybody knows what to eat. You need fruits, you need vegetables, you need meat, right? Everybody knows that. You can go on myplate.gov and look at just a generalized version of what a plate should look like. You know, it's half to a quarter vegetables and fruits. It's a little bit of carbs. It's a little bit of protein. It's all these things together, but in moderation. Okay, so going to these big extremes with everything, no carbs or keto or low protein or extremely high protein, all these extremes are just going to frustrate you, and it's not something that's sustainable, all right, for most people. Okay, maybe you are one of those outliers, but it's all about the process and learning what works for you and what you can sustain for a very, very, very long time. Consistency is king. Intensity is nothing. You can go hard for 2 weeks and then binge on a weekend and ruin all your progress. So remember that when you are deciding what works for you, ask myself, can I do this for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, you may want to scale back a little bit. Now, that is not to say that maybe at a certain point you've gotten down to what you think is a reasonable body composition or a reasonable body weight, and you're good with where you're at. That means we can start incorporating more food, and we can build up our metabolism to a better place, and we're not constantly dieting. You shouldn't be perpetually dieting, guys. And they've also done studies, and it's seen in physique athletes that a period of not dieting can help your body composition as well. So we shouldn't be to the point where we're like, I got to be on this diet for the rest of my life. Look at it as a lifestyle and a lifestyle change, and what can I do for the rest of my life without white knuckling it? Okay, guys, the most important part, like I said, is to make sure that you can do this for a very, very, very long time and stay consistent. So make sure you're changing small things, one habit at a time. Commit to the long haul, because at the end of the day, it's going to take you a while to get to where you want to be. And once you embrace that and embrace the fact that it's going to take some hard work and a very long time to get to where you want to go, you're already ahead of the game, because you're done trying these shortcuts that never ever work. The fad diets don't work. Keto is not a magic diet. Intermittent fasting is not a magic diet. Atkins is not a magic diet, guys. Everything works because it has you in a negative energy balance if you're talking about weight loss. So just remember that. And remember that everything in moderation. You can have your goodies every now and then, but make sure you're getting those vegetables and fruits in. You know what to eat, guys. You really, really do. So think about it. Think about your food choices. Be more aware of what you're eating. And I promise you're going to thank yourself later. I hope this was helpful to you all. Like I said, there will be many, many more videos to come, and I'll get better at this. So be prepared for that. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I would be happy to help you out.